Committee, and now is before us for a public hearing. So before we get into the regular meeting, we're going to open the floor and the podium for anybody who's come out to talk about sidewalks on Flanders Street. If you want to talk and give your support or not support, you can come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
And afterwards, Mr. Chair, I'll read the names.
Yeah, and we do have some written correspondences, so we'll read the names of those people who have submitted responses in writing as well, and those will go into the record following the meeting as well. Hi, good evening.
Hi.
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jane Pisani. We live at 200 Flanders Street. And I am against the proposal for sidewalks in front of my property. So it will necessitate ripping up my stone wall, pulling up 4 trees and bushes, and would go right through 2 gardens. So I'm very much against the proposal. It's been that way. We've lived there for a long time, 20 years, and you know, it hasn't been a problem. People walk across our grass. It's not a problem. We've never, had an issue. So again, until we got the letter a couple weeks ago, I wasn't aware that this was something that was in the works.
Okay,
So, and we did submit a letter as well.
thank you. Mark, I have a question. Is it permissible? Can I ask a question of the person who came?
If it's.
Yeah, related to this.
Procedure, yeah.
I had noticed, so you're at 200, you said? You have a wall that goes all the way to the road,
Yes.
correct? And you said you have gardens. Are they within the 8-foot, because there's an 8-foot right of way for the
Yeah,
town to put a sidewalk in?
I understand that. Yep.
So that is within the easement, correct?
It would be, yeah.
Okay, so there's some structures. I know that these were also, the director of highway is here. And you don't need to speak, but as part of the process, Mr. Town Manager, I think that if anything is there, the town would also work to, for example, if you had a stone wall and we had to move the stone wall a little bit
Right.
shorter and just kind of make
Try
it,
and restore the area.
Exactly.
Mulberry Street's probably the best situation I can think of that we did recently for me, not necessarily for you guys, but we did the same thing. We put the sidewalk in, and we also did the grading. If there was walls, we did put the wall back in there.
right. So in this case, if you had a wall, the wall would be appropriately readjusted. You wouldn't have to do anything, and it would be regraded and everything. And I think there's probably an opportunity for some discussion there as well in the future before it gets done, if this does get passed, for ensuring that there's some alignment on how that would be done so that you could have some input into that.
But, Mr. Chair, if I could just clarify, it's not a guarantee the wall is going to be replaced, just that is what the town's past history is to
Correct.
do our very best to remediate and
Correct.
put it back to
Yeah.
pre-construction status.
It can't actually go back to pre-construction status because it actually goes right to the road, so it actually impedes the walking on the grass.
I just don't want to mislead the public and
Fair.
thinking it's a guarantee that a new wall will be put back up.
Correct. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, is there anybody else here who would like to speak for the Flanders Street sidewalks topic? Anybody? Okay. Come right on up. Just state your name and address for the record, sir.
Nunzio Pisani, 200 Flanders Street. Just some questions about if the project does go forward, liability, homeowner liability for the sidewalk. Maintenance, repairs, if the concrete heaves up, who pays for it? If it gets damaged with an automobile or a truck, who pays for it? Who's responsible for it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that if for some reason, if this goes forward, and if for some reason that there is a problem with the quality of the work soon after, something were to happen, it were to heave right away, something looked wrong, you'd want to probably reach out to the town and just ask, hey, does this look like it could be something with the installation? So if there's some sort of a warranty, and it looks like there's a problem because of craftsmanship, workmanship, we would talk about whether that's something the town would look into. In general, maintenance going forward is always the homeowner's responsibility on every sidewalk in town. So everybody who has a sidewalk is responsible for the future maintenance of the sidewalk, regardless of whether it's cleaning snow, cleaning dirt and debris, fixing the sidewalk, when its life is up in 20 or 30 years if it needs to be fixed. So it's the homeowner's responsibility, correct?
What are the expectations of snow removal?
Yeah, maybe for
Typically,
the town.
because we've lived in town for 25 years,
There was an ordinance that was sent out, so you have 24 hours from the end, is it 40 or 12, I'm sorry, 12 hours from the end of the storm to clean your sidewalk.
And that's 12 hours from the end of the storm, so
end.
whenever the storm stops. And that's not just these sidewalks, that's any sidewalk in town.
okay,
Yep.
all right,
Yeah, we have an actual ordinance, your copy was sent to your house if you want to take a look at it later on.
it was?
Yeah, with the original document from the Public Works Department, the ordinance itself was attached to it.
When was this sent out?
You got a letter from my office second, and then Public Works was first. Okay.
Okay. Any,
We just learned of this, within the last month, and then we got the letter after I responded, we got the letter saying that, this meeting was happening. I opened the letter, and I got Thursday.
And you should have got a letter on or about March 6th from Public Works, and then you got another letter from my office, obviously, telling you about the public hearing. Okay.
and if you have a pencil or a pen, or if you could borrow my pen, if you want to write your name in email or in phone, we'll be happy to, and if you want to give it to the town clerk, we'll definitely follow up and get you a.
You have the ordinance, yeah, right.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Town manager is providing a copy of the ordinance. Bless you. Bless you. Okay, is there anybody else who wants to speak during the public hearing for Flanders Street? Going once. Anybody else for Flanders Street? Okay. The,
And I have to put these in the record.
okay.
I'm just asking about viability as far as if somebody slips and falls on the sidewalk in front of my house, I am responsible for.
So the question, I'm sorry, the final question was, is the homeowner responsible for slip and falls? I I think that's probably a case-by-case situation depending on, I don't know we can answer that.
Normally what happens is that if an attorney's involved, they'll sue the homeowner and the town. That's what we normally get. To answer your question. Slip and falls, we do get, it's usually the homeowner and the town are both in the lawsuit.
Okay, so the public hearing is closed.
Reading the record.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Mark's going to read into the record the,
Okay,
The correspondences.
as I mentioned, Public Works sent out the letter on March 6th, and the following responses were part of that letter that were submitted. The first one is from DeNuno on 4 Lincoln Drive, who supports. The next one is on Gazzy, which is 5 Lincoln Drive, who does not support. Belchinsky at 86 Flanders supports. Looks like Gousse, Grousey, 214 Flanders supports. BAIROS, 240 Flanders does not support. 200 Flanders, who just spoke, does not support. Joe Kavanaugh on 76 Flanders does not support. And the Meadow condos, we received the envelope back.
okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Town Manager. Okay, so if that's it for this topic, we will move on to our regular meeting. Madam Town Clerk, please call the roll. And remote folks may need to unmute.
Toni Morrison. Here. Christopher Palmieri. Jack Perry. Jennifer Clark.
Here.
Michael Del Santo.
Present.
Valerie DiPaolo. Here. William Diedzik.
Here.
James Morelli. Paul Chaplinsky.
Here, we do have a quorum of 6 present, and also 2 on the, including 2 on the phone. I did hear from Mr. Palmieri, Mr. Perry, and Mr. Morelli, who could not make tonight's meeting. So if I can ask everybody to please stand. We're going to do the flag salute first, followed by a prayer and a short moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if everybody can please remain standing, we're going to have a short prayer. Councilman Del Santo is going to lead us in a prayer, followed by a moment of silence for Mr. Joe Laporte.
Our Father, help us this night to do the right thing in all of the issues that we consider. Help us to not be persuaded by popular opinion or political ambition, but rather to see this office we hold as a gift from you. Help us walk upright in this calling. Amen.
Amen.
So, Mr. Chair asked me to speak for a couple of minutes about Mr. Joe Laporte, who we lost about a week ago. I'm not sure if anyone knew who Mr. Laporte was, but I was close friends with Mr. Laporte. My family was close friends with Mr. Laporte. And Joe Laporte is, there aren't a ton of them, but he was a legend in the town of Southington. He was everywhere. Okay, he could be found at most events. He was a member of a bunch of different clubs and organizations. He was on the Southington Parks Commission for 30 years, 10 years as the chairperson. He served 2 terms as a town councilor. He received a citation from the Connecticut General Assembly for his years of service in 2012. He was a Unico Gold Medal of Honor recipient. He was the YMCA Person of the Year. He got the award for the Public Service Award from the Chamber of Commerce. He was instrumental in starting Western Little League. He began the Southington Youth Soccer League. He began the Southington Youth Wrestling League. He was one of the founders of the Southington Italian-American Festival that we have each year in July, and then dozens more. So I think it'd be appropriate if we just had a moment of silence for Mr. Laporte, and such a good guy, and we're going to miss him dearly. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, item number 2, looking for approval of the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, there's going to be a delay. I'm assuming that those are approving the minutes. Is that correct, Jen and Bill?
Yes.
That's
Okay, so,
Abstention.
sorry, Bill?
Abstention.
Abstention, Bill?
He was available.
Yes.
Wasn't he?
Okay, so then it's 501 with Bill Dietzich abstaining. 501, Councilman Dietzich abstained from the minutes, item number 2. Okay, moving on to item 3, councilperson communications. The first thing is I wanted to just point out that we have a resolution before us for Eversource and Pura that's proposed, that will be discussed later in the meeting, under item number 8, old business, where before the council, there is a proposal to send a resolution to the governor's office and to Pura asking to protect the residents of Southington and not pass along the 19% increase that has been requested, and to look at discontinuing mandates that cause these from going, these prices from being passed along to consumers of Southington and to Connecticut. So more on that in the old business section of the meeting, but I wanted to just introduce that all the council members have had that in their packet in writing, and we will talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so I'd like to open the floor for councilperson communications. Val,
Mr.
please.
Chair, thank you.
Sure.
So I'd like to just follow up. I had planned to also speak about Joe Laporte. So I want to thank Councilman Del Santo, though that's, so much of what he did. And I just briefly, I just think it's so important to recognize the pioneers, the ones that he started all these organizations, and so many kids, my brother being one, and then my kids, being able to benefit by that. And I just think it's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy, all the work and the time that he put in. It was his passion, clearly. But I just wanted to, again, recognize his passing, and the community is so much better for all that he did. And I just really wanted to, say thank you to his family, especially to Dolores and Dan and Gina, for sharing him with us, because that's not easy either, all the time that he put in. So, yeah, we're going to miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman DiPaolo. Anybody else have anything on councilperson communications? Okay, hearing none, I have a few. I won't go into great lengths, but again, Mr. Joe Laporte was a shining star for so many of us in the community. I echo the sentiments. We thank Joe's family again for sharing Joe, and Joe, if you're listening to us, thank you so much for everything you've done for Southington. I'd like to acknowledge that we had a couple council members who have attended some recent events. This past weekend, we attended the Elks Lodge 1669 meeting, where Robert Paradis was recognized as the Elks Citizen of the Year Award. Robert Paradis has served for a number of years as the chef at Bread for Life and also at the Orchards, and devoted so much of his time and energy to cooking for those who are food insecure in our community. And it was really wonderful to spend some time at the Elks event and honoring Robert. We gave him a town council proclamation as well. So congratulations, Bob Paradis, for your efforts in supporting our community. We had the Unico Big Breakfast for a bunch of people who attended. It was well attended. It was quite busy yesterday at the Calendar House. So kudos to Unico, as always, for the great work that they do, getting support to bring in funds to most all of the funds that Unico brings in goes back to the community in some way, shape, or form. So we want to thank Unico for doing that. It was a wonderful breakfast, and all the volunteers who put that on did a great job. So thank you. We had a district-wide facilities meeting for the Board of Education just a little bit after the last meeting. And we continue to have the team continues to look through the options for, what should be recommended to the Board of Education for schools for the future, to look at the 2 or 3 schools that are still outstanding, that have the most need and are in the most greatest disrepair, and that need an uplift or rebuild. So more to come here in the next month or two, probably, on a recommendation to the Board of Education. I received a note from Donna Veach. Speaking of Board of Education, Donna Veach had reached out to me and just wanted everybody to know that she's meeting with the Connecticut Board of Education regarding the right to read legislation that's impacting many communities, and some of the communities like Southington who have applied for waivers that got denied, and also Berlin and Cheshire, I believe, were in there as well. So Donna's having a meeting this Thursday with the Connecticut Department of Education. And for those of you who are watching, I normally would have left this for the Board of Education meeting, but since there's no Board of Ed meeting between now and then, I agreed to let everybody know that if there's anybody interested in the work that Donna's doing there, to please reach out to her. You can find her information on the State of Connecticut website for our state representatives here in Southington. A number of us attended a Chamber of Commerce annual event, where Ralph Campachero, amongst others, were honored. Ralph was honored as the Riccio Brothers Business Person of the Year Award. Couldn't think of a better person. Another a philanthropist like Ralph is in our community. It was a great time. The Chamber and Barbara and the whole Chamber team did a great job putting on a wonderful event. And it was great to honor Ralph. Also wanted to give you a shout out. We gave Ralph a proclamation, and we also gave a citation to Matthew O'Keefe, Attorney Matthew O'Keefe, who dedicated 29 years on the Chamber in various capacities, including chairpersons of the board and directors. And he has a litany of volunteer work that he's done year over year in our community for decades. And we also had the opportunity to honor Matthew and many others that evening. So congratulations Congratulations, Attorney O'Keefe, for the work that you do for the Southington community. Thank you. Okay, that's it with respect to councilperson communications. Any others? Okay, let's move on to item 4, report of special committees. Public Works, Mr. Del Santo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had our meeting on Wednesday, the 3rd, some brief items to discuss. Reminder to everyone, this Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., you can go to the Highway Department and get your sticker. I think it's maybe 8:30. Is it 8:30 on that, or is it 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock this Saturday, and by all means, you can go during the week as well to get your passes, but if you're busy during the week because of work or any other reason, you can go on Saturday to get your permit for the transfer station. On this Friday, the 12th, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be a household hazardous waste event, and you can enter through the transfer station. All the information that you need is on the Town of Southington website. We discussed putting AEDs into the parks, and it got a favorable recommendation, so I'm going to be having some discussions with the town manager. I did say that a town resident contacted me a couple of months ago and was interested in donating some money for some of these AEDs, so after I speak with the manager, so more to follow on that. We're going to have lots more information. The idea is possibly putting them in the 3 major parks and the concession stands. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it, so we'll definitely follow. So more to follow on that. We'll follow up with that with the town manager. And we also had a brief discussion about the dog park, the Southington Dog Park. I guess there's a lot of folks that are using the Southington Dog Park that aren't from town, and that is a facility that should be used by Southington residents. The taxpayers fund it. So I spoke with Mr. Zoni, who is involved in that, and there is a card key system, so we just have to figure out the logistics of how we're going to do this. So I've been in discussions with the town manager, and we'll more to follow on that. Any questions?
No, just the AEDs in the parks, I think that's an excellent idea.
It is.
We have them at the pools now, but this would be
This would be in the concession.
concession stands of the 3 major parks.
Yeah, yeah. Could be a grant. that-
Well, actually, not to put them on the spot, but the Calvinist Foundation has been very
was gonna
generous
s-
with the town.
Yeah.
They recently updated our AEDs,
Good.
so that's someone else we could take a look at.
Yeah.
And they make them so portable now and so easy to
Yeah.
use. There's
No, they're so easy. I
instructions.
mean, I've had to get training.
Yep.
Yeah, it tells you exactly.
Yep. They talk.
They talk to you.
They talk to
yeah.
you, so this is what you need to
So
do.
it
they're
is, it's really important. So
Very
that's great.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
yeah.
Thank you, Val. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Del Santo. Open space, item B. I think Councilman Morrison is going to
Sure.
update us on this.
Yeah, just quickly, there's a few things. Some updates, the Pleasant Street Community Garden, that's getting ready for this year.
And just as a reminder to speak nice and loud, just so the
Sorry.
folks who are remote can hear us, including Jen and Bill.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, secondly, from the Farm Heritage Program, Owen McLaughlin, who's the Ag Sci Director for Southington High School, and Pete Romano, who's head of the facilities there, of all the schools, gave us a presentation on what they want to do for the plot of land that's next to DePaulo, specifically with using a barn, the use of animals, larger scale animals than they've been doing for agricultural purposes for the high school ag program. They went through it. This is an initiative that obviously has been supported by the town council already, but it was just an update for us on what they're doing. They'll have a more focused plan, and they'll come and share that with us as soon as they've finished. Okay, finally, we had an executive session for a parcel that we're working on. More to come on that. But there's an initiative that Chairwoman Clock was very interested in, was to do with geocaching. We want to use geocaching is where it's kind of like a treasure hunt without treasure. You use GPS coordinates to go and find coordinates where there's essentially a logbook and a and a pen, so you can say you actually found the geocache, and you use GPS for it. And the idea was to put it in an open space, like looking at the Curtis property. And if you open up that to it, then people will go and essentially look for these things, because it's apparently a big deal right now. And it will open up our open space for people to look at it, and to use it in more ways than they're doing now. We're also hoping to set up a website that will position this and promulgate it. And it's just another way of having our open space used for things that we probably haven't thought of up until now. That's it.
Thank you. I'm super excited about the geocaching. We continue on with getting people out to our open spaces. That's wonderful. I also wanted to, I'm really excited about the parcel next to the Apollo. And, we've been talking for 2 years with the Board of Ed, and they think they've secured some funding for this barn through a state ag-sci grant.
Oh,
in-
sorry, I should have said they had, yeah.
Yeah,
They
and so through a cooperation with the Board of Ed and the Ag-Sci program, the master plan that's been approved, as you mentioned, for that site is really coming to life with the community garden, the water that's been brought in, the chicken coop that Chris Palmieri worked on with a Boy Scout, and all the things going on with Mark Ramsey there. In the next couple years, that site is really going to be a beautiful community site that's going to be highly leveraged. So looking forward to continuing that. Does anybody else want to say anything on open space? Okay, Mr. Del Santo, Councilman Del Santo.
Yes.
Economic strike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had our meeting, this is information from our last meeting, I believe it was sometime in March, where the Economic Development Coordinator sent a letter to the entire council last week. And in the letter, it says there were 2 interested parcels in possibly securing a grant to put a road in. And the Economic Strike Committee was tasked with selecting and prioritizing the 2 projects. In its deliberation, it was recommended the town select whichever project was ready for development. It appears that the project on 1601 West Street is ready for development. It's recommended to the town council that we direct staff to move going out to bid for a 400-foot road off West Queen Street. And we would use the Easy ICQ.
Well, easy IQC, but, and if that number's higher than our estimate, then we would go out to bid at that point.
Okay, good. Any questions on economic strike? I know that item is on our agenda and under old business, so we'll talk more about it then.
I just want to add, I know Val may have a question, but the other project, we're hoping is still going to go forward. They just weren't ready to submit at this time.
That was mine.
Yeah, that was
Question,
it, yeah.
so-
They're still hoping to go forward, and they understood, both projects, leaders understood that whichever one was ready to go first would
We would
be
move forward
selected
on.
first from the
I think
town.
they may choose the route of a private access way instead of a town road, so that might work out there.
Okay. That's the other project.
The other
The other
project.
project, yeah.
Okay, any other questions on economic strike? Hearing none, thank you, Councilman Del Santo. Item 5, Town Manager's Report and Communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was the most important meeting of the year for the Board of Finance. They obviously deliberated for the last 2 months on my proposed budget, and they're submitting to you what is called their budget, which I think you all have copies of right now. I think I handed them out to, or some of you came into my office to get them, others I handed them out to you tonight. Let me go through them. I know it's already been in the newspaper, but I'll go through them for the record. They approved the capital improvement plan as submitted by the manager of $24,612,744, and that's just year 1 of the 5-year capital plan. They approved, as the manager submitted, the 24-25 sewer budget, which is $6,890,494. They also approved, as submitted by the manager, the 24-25 animal control budget of $300,846. They also approved, moving forward, the debt service budget recommended by the town manager of $13,063,324. As for the general government budget, they reduced the budget by $41,600, and that's the town's share of self-insurance, which is 26% of the recommended reduction of $160,000. As for the Board of Ed, they approved $116,815,698, which is a reduction of $118,400, which is the BOE share of that $160,000 of the self-insurance. and also $420,000 in a reduction to operations. That is going to be, obviously, the chair of the Board of Finance will be coming to you at your next meeting to present what is now known as the Board of Finance budget, no longer the manager's budget. It's now the Board of Finance budget. And then you'll have your public hearing at the next meeting, and then your first meeting in May, you'll do your deliberations and pass the general budget. On page 5, we went through the financial assessments. Obviously, the big number here is that we're currently a little over $3 million in the plus on the revenue side. We've been running quite good over the last year. Interest income, obviously, is generating most of that, as I keep saying at every meeting. When I did the budget last year, I anticipated 3% on investments. They're much higher than that. They're in the 5% zone, so that's why you see a big number there. And also, building permits and fees is controlling that number also. Can you now turn to page 8? There are two things that are a little out of the ordinary, one of which is, well, let me backtrack a second. I proposed and you approved out of budget reallocation last year a sum of money for the lights for the girls softball field. The Board of Education did those lights with the money that we appropriated there, and they have $126,451 remaining. They've asked to the Board of Finance, and the Board of Finance approved with your recommendation to move that number so that they improve the track and football lights. So it's going to be used for lights, but they've already done the girls softball, and they've asked permission to do the track and the football field. There's a letter which you all had in your file for Mr. Romano. I recommend it. The Board of Finance recommends it to you. The second item is similar. We used ARPA funds, as you know, $1.7 million in ARPA funds to buy a ladder truck. The ladder truck is in Connecticut. It was in Suttington briefly to get some driving testing, and now it's back, I believe, in Wallingford just to get some more work done. That's going to be on site, hopefully, the end of April. We should have it here full-time in Southington. All that being said, out of the $1.7 million, there was approximately $40,000 left over. Part of the capital plan for the fire department was to have a UTV. You and I would call it an ATV, but they call it a UTV because it's a utility, not what you would normally use it for. And it's for rescue. It's also for obviously going into the trails when people get lost. And the Board of Finance recommended that they use that money remaining in ARPA to that purchase. Now, here's the little thing in that. We thought we had it allocated toward fire department vehicles. We did not. It was actually allocated toward fire department ladder truck. So it's got to go back to the Board of Finance this Wednesday to specifically state what it is, because 20 years from now, when ARPA gets audited, I want to make sure there's a track record for all that. So you can still act on the minutes tonight because it's just a recommendation. At the next meeting, you're going to see the Board of Finance with the actual vote from them, just to make sure all the paperwork is correct. And that is the extensive Board of Finance minutes. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Anybody have questions for the town manager?
Just briefly, so Mark, so the lighting, I just want to let you know too, the team is playing under the lights tonight. Because of the
Wonderful.
eclipse. They had to move the game. So yeah, first time. I think they used it for practice a couple times, but,
They did use it for practice.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
the first game.
it's great that they have the lights.
Well, tell me how the outfielders like them, because
that's what I was
the
gonna
first
say.
complaint is going to
They
be the
don't love it.
outfielders if they're not angled right.
Right, they don't, softball players typically don't like playing under lights, so anyways, but it sounds like with what's remaining, it'll be put towards the track and the football field, not the baseball field. The baseball field will have to wait a little bit, okay, all right.
That's the current
It's too
plan
bad
by
there wasn't.
Mr. Romano, so that's what we have.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
And
There is executive session tonight, Mr. Chair, and there will be no action outside of executive session, correct?
Okay.
Correct.
correct. And it is noteworthy that on page 3, there was a reduction, as part of the overall reduction on the Board of Ed side, there was $85,000 of the reduction was due to a clerical error during the Board of Education meeting when the budget was passed. The budget was passed with a certain number. That number, there was an error in the clerical calculation of that number. So that reduction was basically to make whole what was supposed to have been passed properly by the Board of Ed. So that was in the meeting minutes as well. Okay, any other comments on the report of the Board of Finance? And Mr. Town Manager, we're going to pass this as is, right? That we don't need to make any recommendations on the...
Nope, you're fine with the way
Okay,
it is.
thank you.
It'll come back to you for an actual, the next time around will be more specific, it'll actually vote of the Board of Finance on that one item.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, item number 6, Town Attorney's Report.
I have no report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Town Attorney. We're moving on to item 7, Public Communications. Is there anybody here who would like to speak tonight about any items? Anybody? Going once? Twice? Okay, we will close public commun,
You want to get
we will, everybody wants to get home for the Yukon game, I understand.
Is there a
No
game?
problem, no problem. Okay. Item number 8, old business, action A, action on Flanders Street sidewalk. The floor is open.
I'm going to make a motion to approve this project. It's been discussed for years. I think the ultimate safety of our students walking to school, it makes sense. Most of the road has sidewalks. These areas that don't, I'm not sure why they weren't put in. But, you know, I'm not a huge sidewalk guy unless it's to the school, and I think it's important. I've driven down there. I have to drop my younger son, even though I have a driver, I have to drop my younger son off almost every morning, and I take Flanders down, and I see students walking on the grass. I see them walking on the road, and it's not a safe condition. So for that, I'm gonna, and I understand some neighbors are upset and they didn't want it, but we unfortunately have to make decisions, the hard decisions sometimes, for what's best for the town.
Okay. We have a motion?
Motion to approve. You've already done it.
I
right?
did
the
the motion,
Motion
yep.
is second.
So we have a motion and a second. We'll open it up for discussion. Mike, did you want to expand any further?
No, I think I said enough.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll say it. Val?
Just a couple questions. The total number of residents that are being impacted are how many? Is it about 10?
You can see it right there, actually, Val. In
I
the
know,
red.
sorry, I'm counting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with
11.
frontage. 1, 2, 3,
You got the
4,
condo association,
So
5,
the
6, 7,
and
8,
you have Elliott's building
9,
on the
10.
other end. so
Correct.
It's 12 total.
It's 12.
12.
So
12 total.
So I guess that's one question too I have. The fact that the letter to the condo association came back.
Correct.
They don't have notice, though.
Well, my letter didn't come back. The
Oh, okay, so the letter from.
engineering came back
That
to
letter
us,
came
but
back.
my letter went out afterwards, which you have a copy in your file. That did not come back.
The letter that was required per the ordinance
Was
received, yeah. That was
Then why
received.
is that? Did it go to a different?
No, same.
It's just kind of strange that they returned.
Yeah, I
The
believe
other
they have, though, if you look at the, and I may be wrong about this, and that can correct me, they have sidewalks across their whole frontage, correct? The condo association? Yeah. So their little area would be just, which where it hits Pleasant Street, Flanders Street, I'm sorry. They already have sidewalks. in
They
front of
already
them.
have sidewalks.
So this wouldn't be much for them, because they're already taking care of their sidewalks.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
housing.
Yep.
Right.
But what it does is, it does provide now a continuous sidewalk for the people that live there and would like to go down to Queen Street.
Right.
Maybe Stop and Shop, now the bus
to
is
the
coming.
bus, right.
Maybe shopping.
Yep.
So it does facilitate a safer walkway for,
Okay, yeah.
the
And
people in there.
I just wanted to make sure, and we had received notices back from 7, right?
7, yes.
Okay, so for more than half of them. Okay,
It was a 4-3 for the record,
Right.
4 against 3-4.
4 against, yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
okay. Anybody else, any other further discussion about the sidewalks?
One more comment.
Sure.
Mr. Palmieri asked us to check with Eversource. Public Works Director checked with Eversource, our liaison. We did receive an email back, and I think I probably sent to you guys, but the email said that he is talking internally about it, but certainly not, they didn't tell us that they're enthusiastically going to go for it. But at this point, obviously, it's not part of this project, but Mr. Palmieri asked us to get a response from them.
But they didn't say no.
They didn't say no.
Which is good news.
Yeah.
The door is still open.
Yep.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, any other discussion on item A for Flanders Street sidewalks? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Morrison,
Yes.
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Item B, action on Eversource Pura resolution. Okay, so this one is, everybody has this in the packet. I stated during councilperson communications what this was. I did get some feedback from Mr. Palmieri today, although he's out.
Well,
So I don't
just
know if
wanted
Val,
to-
if you've spoken to him?
Right, I did speak to him, and I think he reached out to you after my conversation with him. So I just wanted to make a few comments just before, maybe before we, before we make the motion. Because I do understand the importance of this, obviously, with a rate increase of 19, potentially 19%. So I guess that's my question. It's something that I'm hoping we're working on in a bipartisan manner, and the language in paragraph 3 and paragraph 4, I'm wondering if we don't, why we need that. I feel as though what we're trying to say is, we're trying to send a resolution to both the governor, to Pura, to say that we would like them to reject Eversource's request for the increase, right, the 19%. And I do, that is extremely important. I did do a little bit of research, and the woman who is the director now of Pura, Marissa Gillett, I believe her name is, she's fighting this pretty, she's really fighting it. She's doesn't give in to Eversource. I don't know if the previous director had given in to Eversource, but she is fighting it. She does not want this increase, and my understanding is they are having some serious debate back and forth, and hopefully that is going to, that's going to help out, and it's going to help our, not to have that increase, that will help our residents. When I look at the language here, I feel like the resolution is trying to place some blame, with the Connecticut Democrats in Hartford, maybe some blame with COVID-19 pandemic, but I'm not sure, like specifically what type of blame. If those two paragraphs can be removed, and we can have a resolution that is basically saying, the substance of it, I think that would be great, and I think it would be really good for this to be a bipartisan resolution that we could all stand behind.
I will say, it is pretty clear that it's the mandates that caused, so,
Specifically, though, that's my question, because I've been
mandates have
trying to do
caused.
some research
Yeah.
today. Are there specific, is there a specific bill and specific legislation that you can point to, of these, we're saying in general, it's the mandates. Like, I get that, but
There was
what are the specific bills and?
well, of course, there's always, the green energy bills are mandates on the electric companies, which obviously cause continual rate increases. Those are mandates that have been for years and years. The ones that have caused the most recent issue coming out of COVID was the mandate for non-shutoffs.
Right.
So the non-shutoffs have caused a ballooning from $120 million in unpaid debt. So people who aren't paying their bills from Eversource, $120 million is now up to $330 million as a result of the mandate. And Eversource has said that in the record. You can search the records, and so it's clear that that one mandate from the state of Connecticut has caused that. Now, the question is, how do you deal with it? And there's proposals out there, and so, we can argue about whose fault it is, but we know who leads the Connecticut state legislature, so maybe we don't need to go there. However, I can understand your perspective, and I think we should, if you want to taper it back, I would offer that we should keep the language about the mandates, but let's take out the Democrat. It says Connecticut Democrat-led unfunded mandates. Let's just call them unfunded mandates and leave it at that.
Well, that would be better, and
Yeah. Take the bite out of it a
I
little
did
bit.
research a little bit of that legislation, and my understanding is that it was a bipartisan bill that passed. So I think there were Republicans that voted for that. And I believe one of the reasons was if you have And I get it. I get that that's putting that's a lot of money out there that, needs to be taken into account. But if you have people with medical issues, if there's someone that has a ventilator or, has some kind of a medical issue, and they had difficulty maybe in the pandemic and they're behind on their bill, I understand the reason for not, for the shut-off protection. I get that. So,
But that's not $200 million worth.
no, I know. And I guess it does go back to that. And Mr. Chair, if we could do that, if we could, kind of push this language a bit so it just feels like it's not placing all the blame
Yeah.
on the Democrats, then I think it's a resolution that it would be good to come from our town council.
And this goes back to what's the role of government, of course. Here we have a regulated industry, so that's a bigger debate. But, I think everybody is compassionate about those who are in need when it comes to these type of things. So there's no argument there. The question is how it was done. You're telling a company that they can't do something. Instead, the legislature could have passed and made a fund for those people and made a process for the people who are in need, right? So then you could deal with them on a case-by-case basis in a clear, objective way with some criteria. But instead, it was across the board, and so okay, here we are. We find ourselves. I would support Councilwoman DePaulo's request. I would offer in paragraph 3 that the proposal should strike Connecticut Democrat-led and just leave it and unfunded mandates.
And
that's-
COVID-19 pandemic, you're speaking in general terms, right?
Yeah.
The pandemic. And
It happened as a result of the pandemic.
pandemic,
Yeah,
right.
the reason that this was put forward by the state of Connecticut legislators is that during the pandemic, it was felt that it was more difficult to pay these. So that was the reason for the action that was taken. And now there's proposals out there that say, there's ARPA funds that are left over. And so instead of passing the rate increases along to every single resident of Southington and Connecticut and making everybody pay a higher rate, there's ARPA funds that are remaining that could cover some or all of these costs. And there's proposals out there that say, don't pass the rate increases along to the residents. Let's use some or all of the remaining ARPA money and let's wipe that out, maybe like they should have done from the beginning. So, but this doesn't specify that. This only just says, hey, don't pass the rate increase, and please, consider stopping unfunded mandates in general.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to point out, as how Southington handles these issues is obviously we try and get people to pay. We just did it through the sewers. And obviously there's, if people have hardship on that, then they'll come to us and work out a payment plan, obviously. I don't understand why the state didn't do that, in the sense of, there's obviously genuine hardship, there's things how you can deal with that. But most of that 200 million, people can pay back. They just haven't for 4 years. So, I'm really, that's one of the reasons why I'm totally in favor of this. There's other things too that can be done. For instance, electricity costs are going up because we're going beyond the wholesale market rate. I don't know why we don't have power purchase agreements that say we'll only double the wholesale market rate. You can't have anything beyond that. There should be a study on how to increase the supply of natural gas to New England, because natural gas right now is the cheapest available, and we seem to be abstracting ourselves from taking advantage of that. So there are things that can be done by legislatures to push on, obviously on Pura, which then can, that helps Eversource, and they can give a lower rate. So.
Well, I guess to that point, I agree, and I wonder if, I know we don't want to put specifics in here, but that's something that, as a council, maybe those are points or suggestions that we need to get to our state delegation, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk to them about these
Absolutely.
things, and
Yeah, definitely.
let them know that these are things that we're thinking for Southington, and that would help our residents.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And the third to the last paragraph says that the request is for PURA and the governor's office to engage in transparent and inclusive process, including public hearings to gather input from Southington stakeholders regarding these unfunded mandates and the rates, et cetera. So I agree with you. I think that's a good.
I take your point, Val. I take your point.
So we're looking for a motion maybe, and we can continue the discussion after the motion, with taking into Councilwoman DiPaolo's comment
I'll
on the
make a
third paragraph.
motion, I'll make a motion to approve with the aforementioned changes by Councilwoman DiPaolo to remove,
Connecticut
The partisan
Democrat-led.
stuff.
CT Democrat there.
Paragraph 3, Connecticut Democrat-led.
Yep, okay, we have a
I'll
motion.
second that.
We have a second. Any other further discussion? Maybe just pause for the people who are on the phone remote, Jen and Bill. Any other further discussion from you on that topic? Either of you?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Mike, Tony? Same here? Okay, why don't we call the roll on this one? Madam Town Clerk, please.
Morrison,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Del Santo,
yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes unanimously 6-0. And I wanted to say thanks, everybody. I know I had started to say it, but Chris had also expressed, Chris Palmieri had contacted me today and had expressed the same concerns as you, Councilwoman DiPaolo. And I'm glad that we could work together to make this a unanimous thing to go forward. That's what this is all about. So thanks for the good dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Thank you.
Linda, we'll make the changes on these. Kim will make them tomorrow.
Yes.
If you want, the signature page is not part of that. You take my word for it. We will make the change. If you wish to, obviously, the chair signs it, but if anybody else wants to sign it, I'll have it here after the meeting. Just come over and sign the signature page.
And for the people who are absent who voted yes, Mark, they're not here. Can we somehow,
I could
can we
have,
get their permission to?
Would the two people on the phone allow Kim to have their signature? Do their signature?
Bill and Jen, can Kim Braille do your signature on the resolution?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, both have approved. Kim,
And what time would it be available, Mark?
Sorry?
What time would it be available for us to sign it in person?
Right now.
Right here.
Oh, just,
Right
okay.
after the meeting. Yep.
Sorry, okay, you'll have
In
it
person, I
changed.
got it right here.
Okay.
Like I said, the second page does not have any modifications
all right,
on it. I
got it.
promise to change the first page.
okay, thank you so much, Mr. Town Manager. Okay, item C, action on the report of Board of Finance.
I'll make a motion that we approve the report of the Board of Finance.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman DiPaolo and one from, second from Councilman Del Santo. Any discussion on the report of Board of Finance? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, sorry. Why don't we get the two who are remote? Are you in favor?
In favor, yes.
Both are in favor. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously 6-0. Action item D, action on West Street road bid, and I know Jen, Councilwoman Clark has indicated she's going to recuse herself from action item D, action on West Street road bid. We're looking for a motion on the road bid.
I'll make a motion to approve, as I mentioned, sorry.
Go
Make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Mr. Del Santo?
So as we mentioned earlier, this is a great opportunity for Southington that we have two interested parties that want to engage in developing something for industry, which is very important and very well needed, and to help our economic development coordinator, because he's out of spaces to put businesses.
And just remember, we do have, and part of this is that we do have $500,000, which we've had in our coffers for many years now for a industrial subdivision such as this. So that plus, if necessary, applying for grants would also have to take in place. But we're hoping to be able to do it with the money that we currently have.
Wonderful. Anybody else? Councilman DiPaolo?
How much land is there? Like, how big with the,
I don't remember the size. The West Street property is huge, but this is one section
It's a
of it
smaller
off
lot.
of West Queen Street,
okay, yeah.
near the intersection where Johnson Controls is.
It's
where
the
Johnson
easternmost
Johnson
portion.
was.
Oh, okay.
Down the
Yes,
hill.
Down the hill,
Yep.
down the hill, okay.
Yeah, the number of lots will depend, of course, upon the interest.
Right.
But certainly, there's lots on the road that can be put together very quickly, and then the road would go, by the road, I mean West Queen Street, there's lots
Right.
around there. And then the road would go in from a northerly to a southerly direction,
Okay,
would go in from there.
okay. Yep.
This is not the bigger parcel, though, that's,
No, this
No.
is just
Yeah.
smaller,
It's
okay.
known as West Street, but the bottom line is it's coming off of West Queen Street, but the whole parcel's known as
Yep.
West Street.
Right.
Okay.
This will be on the lower part, on the West Queen Street
Okay,
section.
okay, thank you.
okay, any further discussions on this? Hearing none, why don't we call the roll, Madam Town Clerk?
Morrison?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Cluck is recusing herself, correct?
Correct.
Del Santo?
Yes.
DiPaolo?
Yes,
Dietzick?
Yes.
Chaplinsky?
Yes, motion passes 5-0 and one recusal, which was Mrs. Clock. Okay, item number 9, new business, tax refunds.
Be Val's
Somebody-
time now.
yeah, I was going to say, I'll step up. So I'll make a motion that we accept the tax refunds as outlined in our packet.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Any discussion?
Oh.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Item B, appointments. I believe these are town manager appointments. It's Conservation Commission, 2 members,
Yes.
4-year term expiring April 2028.
Mr. Chair, I'm reappointing Gregory Alley and Mark
Dinder.
Dinder.
Greg Griali
They're
and Mark
currently
Dinder.
serving, and I'm reappointing them to a 4-year term.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. And we're looking for a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session barring the press and the public and allowing town manager.
No.
No? Oh, that's.
Town attorney.
Just the town attorney to be involved. Town manager's got to beat it.
So we're going to let the town attorney go and the town clerk go.
Town
And
manager
the,
go.
I'm sorry, the town manager is going to leave, town clerk's going to leave, town attorney is going to stay, and the public's going to leave as well.
Second.
We have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Let's move